This is a practice for our shoulders. I like to start with some sensory awareness. This is really beneficial if you've had pain or a surgery or an injury in an area. A big fancy word, proprioception, which is the ability to feel where we are, actually decreases. So we want to bring that back online, and it helps the brain find the body, nervous system, and it just helps to create more balance. So we're going to just start with, let's go with the right arm first. So we're massaging. So we want to understand that the shoulder is not this piece over here. You know, we're not a doll where we kind of plug in our limbs. That everything is really deeply connected to everything else. That gives us this, incredible source of support in the body. So that's why we're starting this like way in here at the chest. And then we can go up to the neck and we're massaging. So there's no specific way to do this. Basically, if it feels good, do it. You could, do some kind of squeezing. You can do a little dragging. And then continuing this down our arm into the shoulder. Here's where that whole rotator cuff is. So, some of the exercises that we're going to do today in the strengthening component might be called rotator cuff exercises, but we want to approach this as a whole body experience. So let's keep going down. Just a nice little massage. We walk around with our bodies all day long, but how much awareness do we actually have? And then all the way down to the hands, and we can get into the fingers. This is also helping us find relationships. Like, oh yeah, okay, my fingers have something to do with my shoulder. My chest has something to do with my shoulder. And then all the way back up. Now, just to be able to test out our little experiment here about sensory information being really an important component of our fitness practice, let your hands come down. And I want you to notice what this side feels like. And not just the arm. See what it feels like going up into the side of the neck and the face, and then all the way down. And if you're not sure what you're supposed to be feeling, that's okay too. So now we're gonna do this on the other side. So again, starting into the center, we can even start with the breastbone. It's like, how do things connect? How are we in relationship with ourselves? And it's just, again, it just continues. All the way down. All the way up. And we're doing this pretty quickly. This is just really a little sampler. We could spend a lot more time doing this. And if you are recovering from an injury or you have some persistent pain in these areas or surgery, a regular self-touch, self-massage practice is incredibly valuable. And then just working all the way down and into the fingers. So this is also helping blood flow. It's helping to hydrate tissues. There's just, you can't go wrong. And then all the way back up. All right, so now we have a little bit more awareness. So we can move into some mobility work before we move into strengthening. We always want that balance. So let's just start with the fingers. And you're probably like, but wait, I thought we were doing stuff for the shoulders. But remember what I said, everything is connected. So we get better movement in our fingers, we get more awareness in our fingers, our shoulders are gonna function better. And if we think about our lifestyles, like, how do we use our fine motor skills in really different ways? We're not doing a lot of writing anymore, we're on keyboards, we're on phones. So like this finger, unless you're, I don't know, are you a two finger texter? Gets a lot of work, or a thumb. And then we can move to the wrists. Now this isn't about pushing yourself to the max, and I'm gonna do the biggest wrist circle possible. We're going for mobility, fluidness. So I want you to slow down enough that you can notice if there's places that are challenging for you to move. Either they feel stiff or have tension, or they just feel like they're offline. And we're just trying to find all this different range. And then what about elbows? So you can already see, I'm not thinking about moving my shoulders, I'm thinking about moving my elbows, and my shoulders are moving, my hands are moving, because we're not, again, we're not these dolls with levers. We're very round and sporadic. And so we're putting this mobility back into the entire limb and to center before we do more specific exercises that are definitely, you know, going to target muscles, muscle groups. But how do we support that? And then what if we were to do some arm scissors? Now, if you do have some restriction in your shoulders, just take this nice and easy, take it to the range that works for you. Now the rest of you, see if you can just let it soften a little bit. Sometimes we get really like military posture when we do this, and just let it soften. Softening's not collapsing. Softening's just finding nice tone and support. So, you know, your pelvis is here, and it can give a nice little lift and push off of the chair. Now, let's add rotation. Rotation. So our shoulders connect in through our collarbones. What do our collarbones connect to? The breastbone. What does the breastbone connect to? The ribs. What do the ribs connect to? The spine. Where does the spine go? All the way up, all the way down. So again, just continuous. And let's do two more. These are feeling really good. So can you feel the flow from the center of your body all the way out to your fingertips? It's through the shoulders. One more set. Last one. And return. Now we're going to do some arm circles, but let's start with shorter levers. Let your breath breathe. Now we all have habits, so one of the habits might be my shoulders go up and my brain says shoulders are going up, muscles take up. But the muscles can actually soften, and can you feel your shoulder blades actually come forward and around? They're like little wheels. We don't need to hold our body stiffly and move this part of our body around. Let things move. Notice how you're going into a little flexing and extending. What if we went the opposite way, up and around? And again, going slow enough that you can feel the places that might be a little bit more challenging, like, oh, right here, to move through. For me right here, I had an injury to my left shoulder, so as I bring these arms around, I can feel that. But I'm not gonna just walk all over it or make it do it. I wanna listen and see if I can get things to soften and release and reconnect. Let's do one more. Now we can do long arms. Now there's even more to connect, from center all the way out to fingertips. And you can add a little flex and extend if you'd like. This is about mobility, so here's a little internal and external rotating. Internal, external. How about reversing that? External. And then you could rotate internal. See how my palms are facing out? And then I can rotate. And I'm just breathing my breath. You might decide it feels really good to, inhale or exhale as you do one or the other. We just want to know we're breathing. That's our last one. Woo! So that was the mobility portion, I should say the sensory awakening and the mobility portion of our shoulder workout. And then the next section is going to be our strengthening. But we have sensory and mobility underneath that as part of our foundation.